Okay, we can always get rid of it. So, hello, it's November 7. It's November 7, and we're in typography. And what I will tell you is exactly 1 month from today will be the last day of finals week for this class. I'm pretty sure I'm correct that our final is Tuesday, December 5, so in a month. Right. Yeah, I know. It's a big wow. And that's why I start class with, Rocio, are you with us? Alex, I hope you're with us. I know you're focused on elsewhere, but. So 1 month from today, class ends. It's the final day of class. And what occurs on the final day of class is all of you the week before, on November 27th, which is the week of Thanksgiving. Is that right? Yeah. So the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, if I got my dates correct, you're going to hand me the printed, professionally printed, Seeing the World Through Typographical Eyes book, this one. All of you at this point should have approved your concept by me. All of you at this point, which I know is not the case, should have shared with the class like 10 spreads of what your book is going to look like. So you get feedback of how you might correct it or consider revising it, and you make sure you're on track. What it also means is because in 3 weeks, you're going to hand it to me, right? Today's the 7th, is that right? Do I have my dates right? So the Tuesday, right, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, you're going to hand me the book. And if it takes about 2 weeks to print the book, that gives you about 1 week to complete the book. And I keep repeating this all semester long. I know it's huge, right? So if you haven't gotten feedback for what the publication looks like, and like I keep repeating, it's really a semester-long project. It's not something you stay up and do around the clock one night and think that you're done. The idea is that next week all of you bring your finished books in to class, your finished publication, finished, and you bring your digital file in and you come to class and we sit with it together, one-on-one, and we go over it and see if there's anything that needs changing that might be a problem for any of you. Is everybody following me on that? Okay. And I can't begin to emphasize the largeness and of the project with your grade and the expectations, and that you should ask for help. So I can't help you if, I understand that all of you work on your computers at home, but I can't offer you support if I can't see what you're doing. And you're going to pay for this book, and it's going to be professional, and you're going to have a lot of pride about it because it's a big deal. And I want to make sure that when you press the button and you send it to print, that what you receive is going to make you happy because you've done everything within your power to troubleshoot any issues. Okay? So how I'd like to handle today is I'd like for all of us to look at everybody's book covers and critique them. And all of your book covers should have been, you should have found a book on your shelf and then just measured the spine and measured the size and figured out how big you wanted your flap for your book and wrapped it around a book. And if you didn't, the world's not going to come to an end. But it's the best way to show it, and it's the best way to photograph it for the book in context, right? Because then you have a book that it fits on. And that's why I suggest doing it that way, because it doesn't really matter what size it is. It doesn't have to be the size of your book. So that being said, where I want to head now is our book covers. But we won't ask for questions about this for the moment. And we'll just put the video on pause because I'm not going to photograph you guys talking about your books, but we'll critique your covers and make sure that you're all good to go. There's one more project. I will add this. There's one more project that shows up in class which is your final project, which is this one. It's a typeface design project where you literally design a typeface. And basically, that's the project you'll be working on while your book is being printed. While you got nothing else going on, you'll be working on creating a typeface. So your book's off at the printer, then you have a couple weeks while you're waiting for the printer to send it back to you. During those 2 weeks, you can work on this. And I'll introduce this project. You can look ahead. You can look at the many, many ways that this has been approached. Here's a student who did a typeface design, and you could look through their process and you'll get the idea. The simple overview, I'll be more specific, is you're going to create a complete alphabet and some glyphs and numbers. And then that you'll submit as your final project. And then the other part is you'll consider your type, how it would be used in some kind of graphic, like a poster with a quote. And that's it. And you can, I'm not making a big fuss about it now because we'll talk about it and we'll talk about how to build it and do it and create it, but I want it in your head. So if you're doodling one day and you want to create typeface designs, that's how you're going to do it, okay?
Would it be part of the rubric if someone worked on a text instead of a display face? I've never seen a text face.
Oh, so does everybody understand the differentiation John's creating? Text is body copy. It's things that are more familiar. Times Roman, Helvetica, Garamond, Gaudi, more traditional fonts. And we had pulled up this one called Mountaineer, which is illustrative. A display typeface is what you would use only for like a headline, like the word mountain. Or ice cap or whatever. You're not going to write poetry with this icy font, right? You're not. It's not going to be body copy. So John's just curious if you could do body copy.
It would be interesting for someone to do that.
And upper and lowercase letters, yes. And then we'll talk more about it later because I don't want to get too deep into it. There are software programs that you are welcome to use to create a typeface. That is not an expectation on our part. Basically, you'll be sketching it, and you'll be sketching it maybe in Illustrator. You can also create, what's the word I used? You can create, let me find the word, here, a crossbreed font, where you might decide to pair up Helvetica with Dido, and you can use the two fonts and build them together, creating what's a crossbreed. And you would be building those together in Illustrator. Let's see. What was this? Oh, so this was a project I did a gazillion years ago. You can see some of the work. And so you end up, again, doing some research, and you do a design brief like you always do. And then you sketch a bunch of designs and the specifics of how many designs would show up on our assignment page. And the process would be to consider different fonts and start sketching and deciding what you want. And then ultimately, you create the font. I actually created for this one 2 fonts. This was called, I think, Egocentric, because everything was the center of the universe in the font, right? You get that one. And then the other one was Twigs, because I just wanted to make a nature font that was kind of freehand, and I drew it. And there was no magic to it. I just drew it. And then I brought it into Illustrator. And building it, once you build a couple complex letters and you get your baseline and your X height and your ascender height and your descender height, you all know what I'm saying, I know you do. Once you start to build those, the font starts to build itself, truthfully, it really does. It becomes kind of wonderful. And once you've built a whole alphabet, then you can duplicate your letters and build words with it and so forth. Okay, so that's a quickie overview, just so you know. And so, yes, they could do body copy, John, upper and lowercase letters.
I'd be glad to consult with anyone who wanted to do that.
What I will tell you, which we haven't gotten to yet, is John has created this website that doesn't exist today, John. Here, I probably put the wrong. So John's created a website about web typography, and he will give us a lecture on web typography. And the truth is John could teach 3 consecutive classes on web typography and never complete what he has to say about it. But web typography has morphed so dramatically that there's so many different perspectives about web typography than, let's say, print, that he'll give you an overview.
Web typography is the single most important subject that we're going to cover in this class.
There you have it. I can't top that.
Pardon?
I can't top that. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and we'll come together and we'll do our book covers, okay? All right, so we got